Johan Liebert isn't just a villain, he is a monster. A man so terrifying that even the most ruthless criminals fear him. But what made him this way? Why was he so evil? And what was his true goal all along? Today we are breaking down the full story of Johan Liebert, his origins, his mind games, and his spine-chilling goals. After watching this video, you would understand everything about Johan and you may never see Monster the same way again. So let's begin. Johan and his twin sister Nina were the result of a twisted eugenics experiment. Franz Bonaparte, with the help of Peter Čapek and 42 others, to create a superior Czechoslovakian race in the early 1970s, an individual crafted from the best genetic material available. The parents of these children were selected from the list of thousands of people and were all tall, beautiful, healthy, intelligent, and from excellent stock. The men were, for the most part, all military officers or had military lineage. The women were all involved in some sort of liberal activism. The reason for this being that Bonaparte himself had no interest in genetics, but rather was intrigued by recreating the personalities of those who were already born. All subjects were in their early to mid-20s. After Johan's mother, Vera Scherna, is released from confinement, she and the twins move into the Three Frogs building next to the Shadok Bridge in Prague. Scherna dresses both of her children as identical girls to make it appear as though she has a single child, rather than twins. Now, it is never clearly stated how Johann became so evil, but there are clues that Franz Bonaparte's eugenics experiment played a major role in shaping him, and from around age 3 to age 6, Johann had a copy of The Nameless Monster and possibly other books written by Bonaparte. He loved these stories and they had a deep impact on his mind. The Nameless Monster tells the story of a creature searching for an identity while consuming others, and this likely shaped Johann's own beliefs. The book may have taught him that life has no real meaning, leading him to develop a sense of nihilism, a lack of identity, and a tendency for destruction. These ideas, combined with the traumatic events he later experienced, helped turn him into the person he became. We'll explore those experiences next. The family leads a very quiet life, and most of their neighbors hardly take notice of them. But peace was never meant for them. In 1981, Bonaparte and his then assistant Peter Čapek appear before the family. Bonaparte forced Vera to make an impossible decision: choose which of her children would be taken away for experimentation at the infamous Red Rose Mansion. In a moment of sheer despair, she first gave up Johann, then changed her mind and handed over Nina. The trauma of that moment never left Johann. Did his mother try to protect him, or did she simply not care which child she lost? This question haunted him for the rest of his life. Nina is taken away, Vera vanishes, and Johann is left at the Three Frogs by himself. Alone, he spends time reading The Nameless Monster, a children's book that would shape his entire ideology. When Nina escaped from the Red Rose Mansion and returned, Johann confuses the information relayed by his sister or his own experiences, and comes to believe that he was the one who suffered through the events at the Red Rose Mansion. When Nina inquires as to their mother's whereabouts, Johann reveals to her that they have been left to survive on their own. Together, they burned their home down and ran away. Sometime later, the twins meet a middle-aged couple who give them food and contemplate taking them into their care. However, they are both killed by Johann. Later, Nina, unaware that a couple is dead, gathers flowers to give to the couple, but Johann suggests they leave, saying he has a plan. On their journey, Johan and Nina in time pass out from exhaustion in the mountains by the Czech-German border. A patrol officer named Helmut Wolf rescues them from their near-death experience. He looks in Johann's bag and finds only one thing: a copy of The Nameless Monster. He decides to name the boy Johann after the monster in the book and gives the girl the name Anna. Afterwards, he sends them to two separate orphanages, Nina to a place called Orphanage 47 and Johann to Kinderheim 511. A brutal East German orphanage designed to create emotionless super soldiers, but Johann was different. When Johann arrives at the Kinderheim 511, he is said to have already been beyond their program, naturally arousing the curiosity of the higher-ups and leading to a forced interview while under the effects of chemical treatment. Later, Johann lost most of his memories there. The few memories he retained were Nameless Monster story and Nina. The Nameless Monster made a deep impression on Johann, but he didn't remember that it came from a book. He just vaguely remembered the story, and which became his first mission: to devour entire humanity and be the last man standing. In time, Johann no longer desires to be at the orphanage. To escape, he formulates a plan. He will take advantage of the tension within the orphanage by capitalizing on the hatred born when people come together. This eventually leads to a chaotic event that forever taints the reputation of Kinderheim 511. 50 children and instructors fight and kill each other, all while Johan simply sits in a chair at the top of the main staircase, watching calmly as the massacre ensues and the orphanage burns. After the massacre is over, Johan finds and saves the hungry child Christof Sievernich, with whom he formulates a plan and decides to reunite with roughly 10 years later. Johan and Nina then were adopted by the Lieberts, a kind German couple. Originally, the Lieberts only want to adopt Johan. He, however, refuses to go anywhere without his sister. So Nina too is adopted and given a place within the family. Franz Bonaparte sees the twins on TV and decides to pay them a visit. The Lieberts allow him in and he looks at the twins while under the impression that they are sleeping. Johan, however, is not asleep and got to know that someone is observing him. Although he didn't remember Bonaparte at that time, but he still didn't felt right about someone observing him and his sister. So he killed the Lieberts. His actions were partly motivated by the desire to protect her from perceived threats. The gunshots wake Nina and she finds the corpses of the Lieberts and Johann standing armed in the nearby room. He gives Nina the gun and tells her to shoot him in the head, wipe the gun after and throw it out of the window. She does so and goes in a state of shock herself. The neighbors calls the police hearing the gunshots. The police arrives and sends Johan to hospital who is in critical condition to be operated by Dr. Tenma. As Dr. Tenma is about to begin the surgery, he is asked by the director to remove himself from boy's operation to Mayor Rodecker. But Tenma refused and proceeds with Johann's operation and succeeds, which results in Mayor's death. And because of this, Tenma is stripped of his position and any chances of career progress ruined. Filled with rage, Tenma approaches the unconscious Johan to vent his anger, saying that he was not wrong and wishes for director's death. Unbeknownst to him, Johan is awake and also grateful for Tenma's decision. As a result, Johan, using poison candy, he kills the director along with 2 other directors. Then he disappears from the hospital with Nina. Sometimes later, the siblings travel to Heidelberg, where Johan leaves Nina, who is amnesia-stricken, in the care of the Fortners until 1995. Then he goes to several families in many cities, where he travels to Munich, Poel, Hanover, Hamburg, and next he goes to Bruntel, where he finds a couple with the last name Liebert. Coincidentally, they once had a son named Johan who died as a toddler, which gives Johan the opportunity to jump into the deceased boy's identity. Johan uses the couple to prove he has an identity and ordinary background. Then, around the age of 15, Johan organizes a money laundering business which becomes very prosperous and well known in German underworld. And eventually, Johan gets bored of the underground bank, so he takes some amount and abandons it. With his disappearance and an inevitable end in sight, those involved lose control, causing chaos within. From 1993 until he abandons the underworld, Johan begins hiring serial killers to all his former foster parents. One trio carrying out the executions involves Adolf Junkers and 2 of his partners. In 1995, Johan betrays the group, 2 are killed on the spot, and Junkers suffers an accident, sustaining an injury to the head. He receives treatment from Dr. Tenma and makes a miraculous recovery, until one night, his paranoia causes him to run out of hospital. Tenma chases after him and they reach an abandoned building. There, Junkers is shot to death by Johan, leaving Tenma severely shocked. As Johan leaves the premises, he is observed by Eva Heinemann. Johan goes to pick up Nina from Heidelberg in May 1995. He begins to interact with her anonymously via email and informs her that he is going to get her soon. He later monitors her from afar. Nina, after spotting Johan, begins questioning who he is and faints. Later, Johan sends Nina a message requesting that she meet him at Heidelberg Castle. He hires 2 corrupt cops to kill the Fortners while Nina is out. He also pays a gardener at the castle to make sure she doesn't leave the premises, as he has something to do. Dr. Tenma later arrives at the castle and escapes with Nina, foiling Johan's plan. Johan then travels to Frankfurt and begins to target an organization led by neo-Nazi leaders who believe he'll become the next Adolf Hitler. Tenma also arrives in Frankfurt investigating Johan's former foster parents, whom Johan had killed by an unnamed man. Johan then kills Gurdelich and his henchmen and leaves Nina a message telling her to meet him at the ruins of the Hidden and Angels warehouse in Romberg. He then leaves a message for Tenma on a water tower that says, "Help, the monster inside me will explode." After these events, Johan leaves to pose as a law student at the University of Munich. Johan enrolls there in order to get close to business tycoon Hans Georg Schuwald. aiming to manipulate him and take control of Germany's economy, which would help him for his mission, which is to devour the world. He orchestrates murders to eliminate Schuwald's close associates, creating an empty space he can fill himself. As one of Schuwald's Latin readers, he begins setting up Edmund Fahren to appear as Schuwald's son, but soon realizes that the tycoon's real son, Karl Neumann, is available and latches onto him instead, consequently putting Fahren up to suicide. Detective Richard Brown is hired to investigate Fahren's suicide, who starts connecting Johan to other unsolved murders. Sensing Brown's suspicions, Johan visits him to a bar and takes him out and certainly reminds Brown of his past. His execution of a teenage murderer, Stephen Juice, claiming he was drunk at the time. However, Johan reveals that he knows Brown was actually not drunk when he pulled the trigger, deeply unsettling the detective. Pushing Brown further into despair, Johan brings up his daughter, questioning how she would feel about his dark past. Overcome with anxiety, Brown drinks from a whiskey bottle Johan offers him. The next morning, Brown is found dead, presumably having taken his own life, eliminating yet another obstacle in Johan's carefully orchestrated plan. With Brown out of the way, Johan continues to solidify his influence over Schuwald. He successfully reunites Schuwald with Karl, and as a result, the delighted tycoon appoints Johan as his secretary. Karl and Schuwald decide that if anything were to happen to Schuwald, Johan, due to his deep understanding of economics, should take his place instead of Karl. Everything proceeding according to plan, Johan prepares for Schuwald's assassination at an upcoming book donation ceremony, with his right-hand man Roberto tasked with carrying out the murder. However, an unexpected event shakes Johan to his core. While browsing through the books Schuwald intends to donate, he stumbles upon the nameless monster, and he realizes that his mission, which he thought was something that he himself decided on, was actually just a children's playbook that triggers a severe psychological reaction in him. Overcome with agony, he cries and eventually faints. He is later admitted to a hospital but leaves the next morning. So Johan abandoned his plan to wipe out humanity and decided to regain his lost memory. Meanwhile, Johan deals with another threat, Blue Sophie, who has been posing as Karl's mother, Margaret Langer. She attempts to blackmail Johan, demanding money in exchange for keeping quiet about his involvement in Fahren's suicide and other deaths. In response, Johan has Roberto gain Sophie's trust before confronting her himself. When she tries to intimidate him by claiming her boyfriend behind a door will shoot if he tries to leave, Johan remains unfazed. Instead, he cryptically tells her that he once believed he had reached the darkest place in the world, only to find an even deeper darkness ahead. As he walks away, Sophie calls out to her boyfriend, who is revealed to be Roberto, only for him to execute her on Johan's orders. On the day of Schuwald's book donation ceremony, Johan initially plans to assassinate Schuwald. However, Johan suddenly changes plans, deciding instead to orchestrate an apocalyptic scene of chaos. He convinces a movement to ignite a trail of oil, setting the ceremony ablaze. As the fire spreads, Johan calmly leads Schuwald to the stage and whispers a creepy message into his ear. Many people to see you, a huge flock of them. Schuwald panics and orders the guests to leave, but it is too late. The fire erupts, causing a stampede as people trample each other in desperation. As the flames consume the room, Johan stands on stage, watches the chaos unfold. He tells Schuwald that he no longer wishes to kill him. Moments later, Tenma arrives through the smoke, aiming his gun at Johan. As Johan steps off the stage, he calmly points to his forehead, tempting Tenma to shoot. Just as it seems Tenma might pull the trigger, Nina intervenes, pleading with him not to kill Johan. Unbothered by his sister's presence, Johan silently walks past Tenma and disappears into the flames. Then Johan arrives in Prague, disguising himself as Anna Liebert and mimicking Nina's personality. His first move is to kill Reinhard Biermann, the former headmaster of Kinderheim 511. Possesses a tape from Johan's past. He then tracks down Philipp Zeman and his two STV subordinates who are torturing Wolfgang Grimmer for information about the tape's location. Disguised as Nina, Johan shoots one of the subordinates in the head, allowing Grimmer's magnificent Steiner persona to take over and kill the other two. Johan then befriends Detective Jan Suk, who falls for Anna. Using this, Johan poisons Detective Patera with whiskey bonbons, leading to the deaths of Patera and two others. Suk is framed for the murders. Meanwhile, Johan gains access to the tape through Suk's mother, but instead of keeping it, he records a cryptic message for Tenma, erasing the original contents entirely. As suspicions grow, several orphans connected to Grimmer begin searching for the mysterious blonde lady involved in Biermann's murder. One of them, Milos, finds Johan, who tells him to search for his lost mother, warning that if he fails, he has no place in the world. Johan directs Milos to the red light district, exposing him to human depravity. The experience nearly drives the boy to suicide. Tenma and Grimmer intervene just in time. Before leaving Prague, Johan burns down the Red Rose mansion after speaking to a portrait of his mother, symbolically severing another tie to his past. Thereafter, Johann attends a high society gathering back in Germany where Eva Heinemann points him out to Peter Chapek, enabling his reunion with Christof Sievernich. Remember the boy Johann saved in Kinderheim 511? He's that boy. In the weeks following their reunion, Johann manipulates multiple serial killers to murder 3 people in order to cover up Christoph's various scandals. Johan disrupts the organization, trying to make him their leader, throwing it into chaos. A prostitute named Carmen gains the trust of the baby and kills him. Though it's unclear whether Johan or Christoph ordered the hit, Johan then visits a paranoid Chapek at his villa in Idstein, seeking Bonaparte's whereabouts. Chapek provides him with the location of Bonaparte's son, Jaromir Lipski. Up to this point, Johan has uncovered all the secrets surrounding his birth and childhood. He realized that his very first mission came from his mother, who, in her grief at losing her lover, vowed that her unborn children would have their revenge against Bonaparte. That's why Johan decided to massacre the town of Ruhenheim and also kill Bonaparte and complete the first ever mission he was given by his mother before he was even born. And he didn't really have any goal to pursue later. He was just empty inside. That's why he thought to die via perfect suicide. Johan's final goal is the perfect suicide, erasing himself completely by eliminating everyone who knows his past. Like the character in The Nameless Monster, he wants to be the last one who knows his identity before ending his life. Before carrying it out, he meets Nina and explains the horrors he faced in the Red Rose mansion, but she reveals that she experienced them, not him. Hearing this leaves Johan smiling yet shaken, and Nina, unable to shoot him, lets him go. Before his final act, Johan meets Horst Grossman, provoking him to shoot by placing a gun on the table. When Grossman laughs it off, Johan withdraws, stating he has awakened from the dream. Enraged, Grossman questions their past actions, but Johan cryptically claims he now sees the true ending before killing him. Johan then incites a massacre in Ruhenheim, exploiting the villagers' fears and greed. During the chaos, he visits a small cottage on the edge of the town where he finds piles of drawings of himself and his sister as children. According to Nina, who visits the same place shortly after, he had been crying as he sorted through the unfinished sketches. Later, he meets Tenma and Bonaparte in town. Bonaparte attempts to kill Johan but is shot by a dying Roberto. Then Johan denies Roberto's final request to witness doomsday scenery. With no more obstacles, Johan tells Tenma that death is the only true equality. When Nina arrives and offers forgiveness, Johan rejects it, insisting some things cannot be undone. He then holds the boy hostage to provoke Tenma, but before he can act, he is shot by the boy's alcoholic father. Despite everything, Tenma once again saves Johan's life, operating on him as both Nina and Heinrich Lunge look on. After visiting Johan's mother, Tenma visits him at the state police hospital where he has remained unconscious since the massacre. Believing Johan is unconscious, Tenma talks about his work with Doctors Without Borders and how life has moved on. During their private moment, he gently tells Johan that he did have a name. Suddenly, Johan appears to wake up, sitting up and staring at Tenma. Paralyzed, Tenma listens as Johan recounts his mother's choice and asks who the unwanted child was, wondering if she made a mistake. Tenma then seemingly wakes up to find Johan still unconscious. Shortly after, Johan's hospital bed is shown empty. Johan Liebert wasn't just a killer, he was a puppet master, a man who blurred the lines between genius and madness. Born from a twisted experiment shaped by trauma and driven by an obsession with erasing himself, Johan manipulated the world like a chessboard, leaving only despair. In the end, Johan disappears, but his story doesn't end here. If you want to understand Monster's ending and wanna know what happened to Johan, then check out my video on Monster Anime Ending Explained. I've explained everything in detail. Thanks for watching.